being under.
We need to start over. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Hideaway Hills Club Board of Trustees meeting, June 21st, 2022. Before we can adopt this agenda, we have a couple of adjustments to make. First one being with Linda Lonzinger and a couple of the items that she was covering on tonight's agenda. Linda?
Thanks. The first agenda item that I would like to amend and have a motion to do so is to, under unfinished business, proposed building code revisions. It has easements and setbacks vote. That is incorrect. It should be maps, plans, and permits vote. So I'd like to make that motion. Is there a second on that amendment?
I second.
Motion made by Linda Lonzinger, seconded by Mary Beth Fisher. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Second amendment that I would like to make to the agenda is under unfinished business again. The petty variance request, I would like to make a motion to amend and delete that. Well, delete that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Annie Kerrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Couple quick updates to my agenda and apologies also to everybody because normally I take the afternoon of the board meeting to kind of refine our agenda before I send it up to Penny at the office. And today I didn't have a chance to do that. We had a situation in Hideaway Hills that warranted my involvement. And so I went ahead and asked Mary Beth to send it to Penny and knew that I would have to amend it tonight. The first thing I want to do is excuse Linda Hodge from tonight's meeting. Linda is out of the country, so she will not be with us. The second update to the agenda that I want to make under old business topics, I had the technology update under Annie Kerrigan, and I will do that myself. It's very brief. And also in executive session, Article 9, second bullet point, Article 9 discussion, domestic violence. I need to amend that to clubhouse incident / member harassment. And I would like to see if I can get a motion to do that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Cabot Ray. Do I have a second?
Second,
Who was that?
me,
Oh, I'm sorry. Seconded by Linda Hodge. Any discussion?
Lon Singer, but
Or
hey,
Lonzinger, I'm sorry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The president's report. I'm glad to announce that at tonight's meeting, I have, and we will cover this later on in the meeting, I have forwarded to the Board of Trustees all of the necessary information that I think we need to use in addressing our situation at the shooting range. So that's good news. We've made some progress and we've learned some things in our RFID project. We're well into handing out the tags to the primary members. But we've been inundated with different things in the office. So we've kind of adjusted our timeline a little bit. More to follow on that. We've got a meet the candidates meet and greet going on before, I believe it is the next concert. Last year, I think we had 4 or 5 of those. And to be honest with you, I think that was too many. So we shortened it up this year and we put together a list of very basic, simple questions we'd ask the candidates to be able to address. And you'll have the opportunity to meet them before the next concert.
That's July 2nd, I believe, right?
Yes. We had some challenges week 1 with our pool that we overcame fairly quickly. One of the things that I often hear when I'm out and about in the community is, in this particular case, our pump failed on our well, which set us back about a week. I think we bounced back fairly quickly. The first thing that comes to mind with myself, as well as everybody else, is, how could we possibly not know that the pump wasn't going to function? And so I took the bullet and asked the question, and was promptly told by our main guy, Rick, that we tested the pump mere hours before the inspection was supposed to be done, and the pump fired. So a lot of times I don't think when we see things that basic that we give everybody enough credit, because certainly everything appeared to be in order as we called for the inspection. The member guests went off again this year, well attended, nothing but glowing things came back throughout the community as far as that's concerned. Up at the golf course, we had the deck tour, which went extremely well. It was kind of cool to see where not only did we have the latest and newest builds that were going on in Hideaway as participants in the deck tour, but we also had the very first home that was built in Hideaway Hills on the tour. So I think we ran kind of both ends of the spectrum. So it was pretty cool, but what a great day to be out in the community. Very well attended. And then, of course, we've had the tadpole competition again this year, which is just an annual favorite amongst everybody in Hideaway Hills. I didn't mean to be so brief with all of these, but I want to cover something again, and this is something that I've had to cover multiple times in Hideaway Hills. On the board in my past board experience and my management committee experience, and that's the way that we treat our club employees. I don't care if it's the guards or the people that serve you your meal at the lodge, to the lifeguards at the pool where we had a major incident today. There's one hell of an opportunity for us to show more respect to our club employees. And those of you that know me well know that I have a very low tolerance for some of the things that go on with this whole situation. It's ugly and it's very unbecoming of our membership. These, although you pay your assessments, these employees don't need to be told that you pay their salary. And we're not going to put up with it. And rest assured that as long as I'm in this position or on this board, I will fight you at every corner as it relates to that. So I try to be as positive as I can with all of the president's reports, but this one happened a mere hour, 3 hours ago. Andy can attest to, and it's got to stop. And anybody has any questions as to what their authority is with our employees are more than welcome to call me or Andy. Fair enough? Great. We need the motion to review and accept the minutes from the May 2022 board meeting.
I make a motion that we adopt the May 22 board minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Doug Parker. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Correspondence, since Linda Hodge is not with us today, that is going to be Tim Weibel. Hey, Tim, good to see you.
Well, yeah, we have me on doing that, but essentially there is
Oh,
no
I'm sorry.
correspondence right now. There were some letters that fall under a different topic on our agenda, so those will be handled at a different time.
Okay, so zero correspondence, in other words.
Correct.
Okay, Cabot Ray and the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, very busy month in May, as you would imagine. This time of year, spring, a lot of activity, a lot of groups doing things, making money, spending money. We began at 147,657.06 at the beginning of May. And at the end of May, as of the very end of May, that number, total committee funds is at 153,667.05. And with that, I'll make a motion that we accept this treasurer's report for May 2022.
Have a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Linda Lonzinger. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Rex Eberly, is Rex with us remotely? Rex,
Yes,
can we
he
have
is.
the management committee report?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. I'm gonna not do the video because the Marriott internet is not very good tonight. So Chaz, I want to reiterate exactly what you said as well, is our employees work hard for you and for our members, and they go above and beyond what they should. But they don't work for you individually. You are somewhere like 1/750th of the membership. And so that's all you are. And as we go for there, as we're talking to our employees. So thank you for bringing that up, Chaz, because we could not do what we do without them. So I want to start with, we've been talking about our capital and depreciation funds. And I want to start with that. And I believe, folks, that for you board members that are there, you have my report with you, and you will see kind of a part of a spreadsheet there that we pulled up on our capital and depreciation fund. What we've been reporting for the past, I think almost year and a half, 2 years, has been the balance at the last time that we calculated the balance. So in this one is a balance of May 31, 2022. But what we're finding is that was probably good 2 years ago when we started this, but now with supply chain shortages and things that we're struggling through right now, that balance that is in the bank account is not a true representation of what's being spent, because we have items that we have ordered, we've committed to spend, and sometimes they're more than a year out. So what we do is we start with a balance for the capital fund. And again, the capital fund is, I think a better term for it is infrastructure. It is buildings, it is repairs to buildings, it is repairs or new items that are going to last roughly more than 10 years. So a roof on the lodge would be a capital fund expense. So we started the year with I'll round these off, $456,000 as of 12/31/21. We've earned a little bit of interest, a whopping $328 on that money. And then through assessments, we've deposited as of 5/31 another $74,600 to that. We spent out of it $42,945. So our balance to date is $488,300. Now we have committed approximately $180,000. So these are things that both the management committee the management committee has voted on, and sometimes the board of trustees has voted on, depending on the expense. And so we have committed $180,000 out of that fund. And so that's what I mean by when I say, if I would just come here and report $488,000, that's not a true account of where we are. We're actually $308,000 of what's available. Also on that, we have what we call proposed funds, and those are things that that are on our outlook for the year that we may or may not spend, but we want to keep track of them. I apologize, there's noise in the hallway. And then we also know that we're going to have future deposits from assessments of another $140,000. So what that brings us to, that we have an estimated balance at 12/31/2022 of $391,000. So I think what this says is we are on the capital fund. Right now, we're extremely healthy. And we've also instituted a balanced floor, which is 1.5 times the yearly income of $305,000. So basically we're 80-some thousand dollars at the end of the year above the balance. I went through that really quick. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on the capital fund?
No, I don't have any questions, Rex, but I'm glad you went through this, because when I watched the management meeting the other day and you guys were tongue in cheek joking about a slush fund, I wanted to talk about that specifically tonight because besides what you have called out, our capital fund currently doesn't have anything planned for dredging the Lake of the Four Seasons, adding additional silk traps. We really don't have truly enough money to truly maintain our roads. Also, to mention a few others, the golf course is another one. So I just wanted to point that out because I don't want people to think that we've got a bunch of extra money sitting around, because we really don't.
No, absolutely, we don't. We're looking at long range capital expense. And when I mentioned a new roof to the lodge, it's coming. May not be, right now, I believe we have it in 2020, I think 2026, but it's roughly 3 years out. Our goal is to bring a contractor in well before that and get a full review of not only the roof, but the structure of the roof of the lodge. And you're absolutely right. That may become a 2023 expenditure out of needs. And so we are in, the assessment increase put us in much better shape than we've ever been. But the dark years before that gave us a whole list of infrastructure needs that weren't covered at that time. And so, no, we're not flush with money. We're trying to be extremely careful, but also we're spending money. So let me back up, and we'll get to it in the depreciation, but we spent money on a new pickup and a new loader, but we knew that the old pickup and the old loader were going to start costing us a lot of money. And so it's the thing that we need to do as a management committee is look at that and make the decision. Do we want to spend it, have a piece of equipment we can't rely on and put a lot of money into repairs, or do we need to purchase new so we don't have to worry about that for the next 8 to 10 to 12 years? And that's the decisions we make. So did I help you there? Is that good?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay, so real quick on the depreciation, I won't explain this as much. Depreciation is kind of the equipment fund. We do take depreciation as any business would off of our financial statement, but because we are not a nonprofit group, it's calculated a little different. So we move that amount, that depreciation amount, over to our depreciation fund every year, and we use that to replace equipment that needs to be replaced or possibly buy new. So the balance at the beginning of 12/31/21 was almost $494,000. For some reason, Andy, we need to look at this. We didn't make near as much interest. Only $82. We purchased out of that fund $164,000 worth of equipment, but we've deposited $67,000 roughly into the account. So the balance right now is $395,800. We've committed $91,400, and I'm pretty sure that's both fairway mowers, and there might be one other small item out of that committed funds. We have another $4,000 of things that we're thinking about buying this year. We have future deposits coming in. And so that puts us at our estimated year-end balance of $385,500. Our floor for that is 300,600. So we're calling out a contingency of $85,000. So again, as everybody says, if we had a dump truck go down for whatever reason and it couldn't be repaired, this balance would not look as healthy as it is. I think we're really in good shape in the depreciation fund. So any other questions or comments there? So from now on, let me back up. From now on, what I'm going to report is the estimated year-end balance. So you'll know where we see where we're going to be at the end of the year. And I'll probably just remind you of what the floor is so you understand where we're at. And if you need more information, we'll be able to provide it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Rex, thank you very much.
Oh, I'm not done.
Andy Freeman.
No. Hang on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hang on. I got another hour.
There was a long pause there.
Another hour.
Okay.
Now, okay, so on the operations budget, and that is the other piece of our budget, and that covers the day-to-day operations of the club. We are watching that. We are watching it to make sure that inflation isn't taking, isn't putting us in the red with that budget. Fortunately, it is not at this point. Our revenue and our expenses through, I believe through April, we haven't got the complete May information yet, I don't believe, but through April, our revenue and our expenses are in line with budget. Both the GM, our employees, and the management committee are watching for problem areas caused by inflation. We are seeing that we're spending more on fuel. Obviously, we're spending more on a few things. Unfortunately, we're short of employees in a few places, so we're picking up some budget there, but we prefer to be fully staffed and try and save money in other places. So anyway, so we are doing well even with the inflation, and both Julie Evans and the rest of the management committee and Andy are all keeping an eye on that, and we're doing really well there. Some committee notes. We did approve the purchase of a zero-turn mower that will be used mainly at the golf course. We needed to do that because the two fairway mowers have not been delivered. They're out at least through into 2023. This mower is also something that's used by maintenance. So we purchased it about a year ahead of time of when we expected to. It'll be used at the golf course, and then when their mowers come in, we'll switch it to maintenance, and we will retire one that is way too old to be operated. We do have an expenditure request we would like to have voted on. We voted to contract with McKee Paving to complete asphalt paving services at various locations in Hideaway Hills. The work will involve placing roughly, our roads are pretty rough, so it's an average of 1.5 inches of hot mix overlay on road sections that need extra structure. We've approved a not to exceed $120,000. Our total road spend in 2022 will be, we're going to try and keep it at $155,000. Which is about what comes in every year, and then we've got some extra in if we need it. But out of that 155, maintenance will purchase and place asphalt, and they'll fill potholes with that and add width and some structure to things. And then once we determine McKee is scheduled to come in after Labor Day, it may be September 15th, it may be a little after that. But we'll see how much Rick has spent on patch material, and we'll subtract We'll take 155 minus what Rick has spent, and we'll use the rest of that for McKee paving. So right now, we would like board approval for a not to exceed $120,000 for McKee paving. Most of this work, well, there's gonna be work done around Hideaway Hills. You'll note that we did not chip seal last year. We have not completed the loop around the lake that starts about where Wolverine, I don't get my roads quite right, but Wolverine on the northwest corner as it loops around up to Yana on the east side. That was not in good enough shape to chip seal. So we're going to get some structure into the bad areas of that, plus other places in the hills. But so anyway, we'd like board approval for a not to exceed of $120,000 for McKee paving.
Rex, can you repeat that last part again for me?
Sure, we need to build structure on what we call the main loop road.
No,
which-
just the money part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Not to exceed $120,000
To McKee paving?
To
to
McKee.
McKee paving. Yes.
Okay.
Is this part of that 180,000 committed funds we see in capital fund?
It is not.
That
This
was
is-
my question too.
No, this
not.
is out of the road fund, which is a completely separate fund. That 180, I'd have to go back. Most of that is Lodge Electrical, which is in process and almost complete. And boy, I apologize for what the balance of that is. And it'd take me a minute to pull it up, but I can get that out to an email to everybody.
Okay, so the bottom line out of us is you need approval not to exceed 120K for McKee paving above and beyond the annual chip and seal.
No. This comes out of the chip and seal budget.
So it's a
Okay.
budgeted item. We
So
need to
you just
approve.
need us to approve it to be spent to McKee paving.
Yes, correct.
Okay, because I don't recall that we've ever done it that way.
We have approved, we've never approved self-perform work, but we did approve the chip seal the last
Got
2
it.
years from 2020.
Got it. Okay, therein lies my question.
Yes.
So Rex is asking us to approve spending $120,000 with McKee paving as part of this year's road assessment project, correct?
Yes.
Do I have a motion for that? Or
I'll make that motion.
And I'll
So-
second.
motion made by Annie Kerrigan, seconded by Cabot Ray. Do we have any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really quick, I've just got a couple quick notes and then I will be done. I won't take another hour. Golf course, we're very happy with the way the course is looking. Spring core aeration was a success. I know it took a couple days out of the golf season, but I believe it was well worth it.
Hey,
Andy's
Rex,
gonna talk about,
Rex,
yes.
You
Yep.
have a lovely voice. Can you just speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah. Great.
I got to get closer to the microphone. So anyway, the course is looking good. Spring core aerification was a success. Andy's going to go into the RFID. We've had some changes. I apologize to the membership about that. We're having to delay a few things. Yeah, we've never done this before, and so we're doing the best we can. We're using volunteers, and we are stressing the office a bunch. And so Andy's got a good plan going forward, so I'm going to let him go for that. Work is progressing on the lodge electrical improvements. And again, when we say lodge, that is the entire building. We are not talking just about the restaurant. In fact, very little of the work is happening in the restaurant. It is really downstairs and in other places, and also going to the pool. And there will be some closures late this week, but that are going to affect some things. Also, Lodge and Clubhouse are continuing to put out excellent product and service. and revenues and costs are in line with budget. And again, we're looking at menu and there may have to continue to be changes with both the menu due to shortages and to pricing due to inflation. But any questions for the management committee?
Nope.
Any more pages?
That is it. Oh, come on.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you.
Andy?
All right, thank you, board. Thank you, Rex, for that information too. I just want to take a moment right now to extend my sincere appreciation to Penny and Christina for all the work they do in the club.
Yep.
From the RFID project to the ACC coordination and regular office management. They're a strong team and they deserve our thank you. Some of the current projects that we're working on, the lodge and pool electrical. We just got word today that we're going to extend that outage. It's not going to be this Friday. It's actually going to be the following Friday, July 1st now. We're working with South Central Power on that. So I put out communication to our employees and the pool and so forth. So that will include electric for the pool and for the lodge, starting at 8 a.m. July 1st. Going to about 12 p.m. They've got to switch over some circuits with the new breaker box and so forth. So it's not, we're on schedule with that project. It's not Area Electric that we have doing the electrical. It's the outages that occurred with South Central Power. So we apologize for that, but we'll keep you informed. Lake of the Four Seasons Emergency Action Plan. I worked with our maintenance staff and we've drafted the first draft of the emergency action plan that I submitted to the ODNR on May 27th. And we'll get comments and revisions back from them in regards to that emergency action plan. And then the final is due at the end of July. We have dam inspections and that starts tomorrow. ODNR is going to be in here starting at 9 a.m. and doing all the dam inspections and the LMIs. So if you see them here, wave hello, let's behave on the lakes and so forth, but they will be here tomorrow. The asphalt patching, according to the maintenance department, is going to start probably by the end of June, early July, weather dependent. So be looking in for that. That's prior to the overlay that you guys just approved for probably mid-September with McKee paving. Let me go into a little information about the RFID installation schedule and so forth. There has been some delays and I appreciate everybody's, especially our management committee that put together volunteers and putting these RFID tags out. It was a big undertaking. We had to date on 6/19, 385 tags installed, and these are member-only tags. Security has started taking appointments for the member RFID decals only, and they started that this Monday, the 20th, and they've already installed a number of them, but that number was 317. So we did about half, I would say, or a little over half. For the first round, and then now security has taken it from there. The family and guest tags, the decals, will start being processed in our office starting next week, and then we'll get an installation schedule that security will do for that. So appreciate your patience on this. It's a project that we haven't never undertaken like this, but I think we've got a good managed schedule. And if you got any questions about it, please feel free to talk to me about it.
When's our go date expected right now?
We do not have a go date right now.
So the clickers will work until we come up with an
Yes,
announcement.
so you
our
got your
go date
clickers.
is.
Yes, they still work. You'll notice probably as you're going through the gate, if you have an RFID tag already, that the light will turn green, but it won't activate the gate because we've not activated it yet. I want to make sure that all our members and all our family guests are taken care of first. but we didn't want to put a date on there quite yet. The reason we didn't put a date on it too is that we have some final punch list items from Silco, who is our contractor for the gates. I just talked with him yesterday or today, actually. I got back from vacation. There is some punch list items that still need to be taken care of by them. And they're not getting any more money until these punch list items get taken care of. So but we want to make sure that was important. That's why one of the reasons for our delay, that these things are taken care of. So we know we don't have any glitches in the system. Part of that punch list, they're about 80% complete. The exit loop materials still need to be installed. Emergency vehicle siren activation. And then just ordering of more decals. For those of you that have golf carts or OVA or OVRs or anything like that, we're ordering decals for outside the vehicle on the windshield that are weather resistant, and they're in the process of doing that right now. So again, that's the reason for the delay. And then there's the coding that has to happen as well for the RFID tags through that company. We do plan on purchasing additional chop gates. We've got one right now down at the maintenance entrance, truck entrance. We're going to see how that goes before we install other chop gates at the other locations. Any questions from the board on RFID tag installation?
What did could you repeat one more time about the ORVs and
Golf
ATVs, golf carts?
So there's a weather resistant decal that we'll put on the outside of the vehicle,
Okay.
so it can activate. Not on the inside of some don't have windshields.
Right.
So they can be on motorcycles and so forth. So that's the reason why. And there's a handful of occasions where people are, using motorcycle to go outside the gate or, so forth. So that's the reason for that.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions in regards to that? Okay. I did want to make a disclaimer too for existing and new members. The official Facebook page of Hideaway Hills Club is Hideaway Hills Club. It's a private group. Other Facebook pages use a form of or a variation of the official name. So to get all your right information, go to the official Facebook page, not these other pages. Safety is the utmost important. We did have an incident up at the pool today. Won't go into detail of that. We're still collecting incident reports and so forth, but we're noticing the speed in Hideaway Hills has got to slow down. Okay, and I can't reiterate that enough. Whether you're on a golf cart, a regular vehicle, motorcycle, whatever it may be, you've got to slow down. We've got a posted speed limit of 19 miles an hour. There's a reason for that. We've had multiple complaints. We've had some accidents, and we just got to slow down. So just to our new members and to our existing members, please, safety is the utmost importance. Slow down in the hills. There's kids out right now. There's, they're playing. People have dogs and pets and so forth. So just be courteous, please, and slow down. Just want you to make sure that you're vigilant on the lakes as well, especially the Lake of the Four Seasons. We've had several complaints of speed on the lake, and we are patrolling and checking docks and making sure safety is the utmost importance. We don't want any incidents. Believe me, we don't, and we don't want the state regulating our waters either. So just be mindful of your speed and courteous to others and so forth, making sure that you're not speeding past or too close to no wake zones and so forth. So again, that's being enforced, and we just appreciate your willingness in this. Don't think I have anything else other than we've got two easement waivers that need to be approved by the Board of Trustees. And I'll read them off and then Linda, you can motion for a motion on them. We have 874 Yana Dolan. The house sits across the easement between lots 874 and Reserve B. And the other easement waiver that we're looking for is 1674 Alpine Wintridge. The house sits across the easement between lots 1674 and 1675. Member said that the septic system also crosses only that one easement. The board should only waive the one easement between 1674 and 1675 as is where the structure is.
So I am not intimately familiar with these, but I am understanding with 874 Yana that the house sits across the easement between 874 and Reserve B, and it has done so for some time. And so now they're asking for an easement of that waiver.
So it was missed before, the request for waiver.
Yeah, now, is this something that was previously circulated before we got your email 2 days ago?
I think so, yeah.
Because I don't recall hearing about this and nor was it discussed.
Chris over there maybe can speak to that.
They applied for a permit, a building permit.
You gotta talk to the microphone.
Let's reach. Not so sure.
As a matter of fact, I don't recall hearing anything about either one of these, so.
I saw it in his management draft, committee draft, but I'm not intimately familiar with these.
For both of these easement waivers, the houses. For both of these easement waivers, the houses were built some time ago. Both members recently applied for a building permit and they provided surveys as part of that building permit. And the lots are joined for both of them. One of them has three lots to form one parcel, and those lots had already been joined. The other one was two lots that had not been joined. And in order to get a building permit, because their stuff uses both lots, we had them join the lots and request an easement waiver. And the South Central Power has released the east.
Okay, that was gonna be my
Okay.
next question, yeah.
Yeah,
Standard stuff.
so everything is regular about it. It's nothing
Okay.
unusual.
Okay.
Thank
There's
you.
nothing
Okay.
unusual.
And Andy, you have the South Central Power?
Yes,
Yeah, so
yeah, I've got them both.
the documents are in, the lots are joined, and the houses have been sitting across the easement since they were built.
So it's just following our normal procedure for
Right.
easement
Yeah,
waivers.
it's
Okay.
nothing
Yeah.
unusual.
All right,
Normally, you'll get lots where they're going to be building a house, and this is just basically cleaning up from who knows what.
pass.
Gotcha.
All right, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So it would be a motion to approve the easement waiver for 874 Yana. And then also an easement waiver for 1674 Alpine.
Okay, and I assume that we should vote on those separately.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve releasing the Hideaway Hills easement for lot 874 on Yana Lane?
So moved.
Motion made by Doug Parker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mary Beth. Do we have any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I'll entertain a motion to release the Hideaway Hills easement at lot 1674 Alpine. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Cabot Ray. Do I have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Linda Lonzinger. Any discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Two things, golf cart speed in Hideaway Hills. We had at least one individual that was life flighted out of here last week. The accidents that we see that are the worst ones are associated with the huge hills that people are going down. Most golf carts only break with one wheel. They are not like ATVs or some of the other vehicles that we drive around here. So just a word of caution, that golf cart is a completely different game. Fortunately, we only had one person. There were minor injuries with two other people. The other thing I wanted to say is that springtime, our office is inundated with things such as building permit information with the ACC and a lot of the other things that ramp up and are associated with spring and summer. You can only spend 15 minutes in here to hear some of the phone calls that they get while you're in here. And so the RFID project being added to that annual volume has really bogged down the office. There is a world of places that you can go to get basic information on Hideaway Hills if you have access to the internet and the club website. A lot of the phone calls I hear that come in are all simple rule questions. And somebody has to be there to field those calls every time the phone rings. So just remember that. Is that all, Andy?
That's it.
Great, thank you. This month's committee business and reports is going to take a little bit of a twist. One of the things we discussed during last month's board meeting was the length of time that the board meetings are lasting, sometimes 4.5 hours, which is far and away probably much longer than any of us anticipate being here. Not that we won't stay until everything's complete, but one of the things I think we need to vote to eliminate during the board meeting are the committee updates that each one of us read for our committees. We got good months, we got bad months, but what I'd like to what I'd like to see someone make a motion for is to simply put those committee updates in the Echo every month so that we're sure that the membership has access to them. Linda Hodge dug in and took a look at the timing associated with each one of the things that we do every month. And that is the biggest time eater that we participate in. So that being said, what I would like to do would be entertain a motion to eliminate reading the committee reports each month at the board meeting and simply move to put them into the Echo. And I'll throw it open to the board.
One quick clarification though on that, Chaz. As far as at these meetings, e-voting for funding for committees, will that continue to go?
Absolutely. There are certain things, committee funds are, and if you'll notice, it's still below this,
Yep.
this particular conversation. Obviously, we have to vote on the committee funds on a monthly basis if we don't do it during the e-vote process. So absolutely.
The last meeting, it was over 40 minutes for our committee reports.
Which, that's, and the last meeting we were here, I think till 11:30. So we dispatched Linda, as we most times do, to go back through the meeting minutes and see where it is that we've eaten up the most amount of time. And it is with the committee reports. It's that simple.
So I'm in agreement. Just going and knocking that out will save us some time. But we certainly have issues when a committee has things that need to be approved and so forth. And so we'll still be able to do that. We'll still be able to approve a certain function on a certain date. We'll be able to approve expenditures. But what you're saying is we're not going to go and update you on everything that's going on in a particular committee for that particular month.
Correct.
I second that motion or make.
Maybe what we need to do, because Eric pointed out a good point there, is we have a fund request. Maybe we should call it committee requests. And so if there are dates and things like that, we have to vote on, it can still be included. So we just change that wording.
Anybody
So just
else?
to clarify, the committees will be responsible for sending those reports to be published in the Echo.
Well, I think as board reps, we ought to at least still
encourage, yeah.
throw that suggestion out there that if you have them, I mean, I know I do that with my committees and I think the rest of you guys do too, where you just say simply, if you have something that we need to make sure it gets in the Echo, let's make sure, but they're gonna have to be cognizant of the Echo deadline as well. And it even gives them a couple extra days really, or an extra day.
I second
Ginger will
the
probably
motion.
strangle me for saying that. So I have a motion. Any other conversation? So I've got a motion that was made by Eric to eliminate reading the committee reports and updates other than fund requests and other requests that we entertain monthly from the regular agenda of the board meetings. It was seconded by Mary Beth. Do we have any other conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Okay, open forum. Do we have anybody that has signed up to speak tonight?
We still need to do fund requests.
Yeah, we need
Oh,
to-
I'm sorry. Yes, I thought it covered both those at once. Do we have any fund requests or other committee requests that we need to cover? Okay, well, let's start with Eric. We normally go around the room.
I got nothing.
Good deal.
Zip.
Wow. Now that we eliminate the reports, nobody has any. We'll walk in the door and our spouses will all look at us like, what are you doing here? Okay, Mary Beth?
The barn committee would like approval, and I'm making this motion for the Hideaway Hills to purchase and be reimbursed from barn funds, fencing supplies, including T-posts, insulators, and caps, one spool of electro braid, split bolts, 2 extra fence chargers, 2 water tank de-icers, and a cross tie for up to $1,350.
Okay, so we've got a request from the barn committee to spend up to $1,350 on fencing supplies, correct?
Yes.
I don't think we need to read back through those.
Second.
Seconded by Linda Lonzinger. Do we have any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else?
Nope, not for me.
Tim?
I got a couple for the golf committee. First request would be the member guest expenses from the 6/10/2022 tournament. They're asking for $2,662.23 to cover multiple expenses that occurred during that tournament.
Okay, so we've got a motion for the golf committee to spend $2,662.23 on member guest expenses. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Cabot. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Are you an aye?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I've got one more. They're also asking to reimburse Terry Nobles $297 for a lunch provided to the workers during the cart path workday, and the funds would go to the clubhouse for the food provided.
All right, so we've got another request or a motion made by Tim Weibel to reimburse Terry Nobles $297 for lunch during the cart path workday, paid directly to the clubhouse.
Well, that's confusing.
Are we reimbursing?
We're reimbursing Terry. She already.
She
paid
paid the clubhouse.
Okay,
Got it.
so
Okay.
this goes to Terry.
Yeah.
Okay, so Terry already paid the clubhouse. Now we're reimbursing Terry Nobles, correct? Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eric Lapp. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You good?
Yep.
All right. I need to ask for an EVO to approve for chapel committee. This is to pay for speakers, music, setup, tear down for the remainder of the season from July 17th to September 4th. We've already covered the first half, but it is for $2,125 to cover the services through the remainder of the summer. I'd like to make that request.
So we have a request from Cabot for the chapel committee for speakers and general
Musicians and
musicians and tear downs for the chapel in the amount of $2,125. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Annie Kerrigan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
September 4th.
Anything else, Cabot?
Yeah, one real quick thing. I think we need to handle this real quickly. Robbie Snoke has led the pool committee since 2015. She's decided that after the 7 great years of service, that's my opinion, but she's going to step down. But she's asking that Ginger Reed would then take over as the head of the pool committee. Ginger Reed has agreed to that. And so I would like to make a motion that we accept Robbie Snoke's resignation and that we install Ginger Reed as the head of the pool committee.
Okay, Cabot has a motion made to accept Robbie Snoke's resignation from the pool committee at the end of this year.
Actually, it's like immediate, effective June as of today. actually.
Should
Okay,
we have
Well-
two separate motions?
Do we need to make them separate?
Probably should. One for
Okay.
the-
well,
Okay.
We need to, then we'll.
so
do
we
that.
have a motion made by Cabot to accept Robbie Snoke's resignation as the pool committee chair,
Correct.
effective today, June 21st, 2022.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mary Beth Fisher. Conversation? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carried.
and then second to have Ginger Reed take over as the head of the pool committee.
And then we have a second by Cabot to accept Ginger Reed as the new pool committee chairman as of today, June 21st, 2022. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Tim Wabble. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That it, Mr. Ray?
That'll do her.
Thank you. Annie Kerrigan.
Yeah, so Organic Garden, they would like for us, I'd like to make a motion to approve paying Greg Patassin $403.14 from the Garden Committee funds for gas, propane, hose, seed, shut off, straw, and tiller repair.
So Annie has made a motion to pay the organic on behalf of the Organic Garden Committee, pay Greg Patassin $403.14 for
Okay.
general supplies, correct?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
They said 403.
Was that you?
$403.
Seconded by Linda Lonzinger. What's that?
I'm just telling you.
I got it.
the number.
Okay. Seconded by Linda Lonzinger. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, got a couple for social committee. I'd like to make a motion to approve paying $350 deposit for the band for the August concert, $3,500 to Parrots of the Caribbean for the July 2nd concert, and $120 for lodge gift cards for the Parrots of the Caribbean from the social committee fund.
Okay, so is the first $350 for the same group band?
They're actually called the band.
Okay,
Sorry. it's
Okay.
called-
all right, so so a motion made on behalf of the social committee by Annie Kerrigan to approve paying a $350 deposit for the band. And a $3,500 payout to the band for the actual concert.
For July 2nd. It's
For July
Parrots-
2nd.
Parrots of the Caribbean.
Two different.
Okay,
different
and
band.
then also $120 for lodge gift cards for the band,
For the Parrots of the Caribbean.
for the Parrots of the Caribbean. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Do I have a second?
all is in one motion, right?
seconded by Mary Beth Fisher. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I have one more. I'd like to make a motion to approve paying Party Plus $351.51 for tables and chairs from the social committee fund.
What was the dollar amount on that again?
$351.51.
Okay, and that's for the tables?
Tables
Okay.
and chairs.
Okay, so Annie has also made a motion on behalf of the social committee to pay Party Plus $351.51 for table coverings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cabot. Ray, discussion?
Is this for just one of the, not the band, but for the Parrots of the Caribbean or just curious?
Didn't say.
Didn't say, okay.
Yeah.
Are these for parrots or what? No. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is that it, Annie?
Yeah. To answer your question, Cabot, that would be my guess based
does.
upon previous
That's right.
time we voted on.
Next up, Doug Parker.
Okay, at the risk of incurring the wrath of the board gods on high, I'm going to mention something because this is kind of thing that can fall through the cracks when you don't talk about stuff, especially because we tend to have a lot of short windows here and everybody's a volunteer around here and they make decisions and refine things at the last minute. But anyway, we have upcoming for the Lakes Committee, the 4th of July boat parade. That is on that is going to be on a holiday weekend. That will be on Lake of the Four Seasons, and it's going to be between 1 to 3 p.m. Now, everybody, if you've been on the lake before, kind of probably can mark my words on that. So I'm concerned about noting this because it's a possible safety issue. We're not asking for any kind of a no wake zone time or anything like that. But there will be people kind of putzing around with decorations on their boats on the lake on a holiday weekend in the middle of the afternoon. So that's it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we call for a no wake period between?
No, we didn't do it the last time.
We didn't?
That's right. Sue, and that is correct, right? Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, so it worked, but what I'm saying is, we have a lot of new members again, and people
Yep.
will go, oh, that's nice, their boats zoom, and they go by and, you know, that kind
So
of thing.
you're appealing for calm.
Just a word to the wise, or warning to the wise. Just-
last year, didn't it?
Yeah, oh, yeah, it was fine.
So, okay.
But again,
Yep.
there's new people.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
and I won't bore you with where the boats are supposed to go and all of that, but make sure you read the things that have been posted. So everybody knows, and then they don't have to call the office.
Yeah, and I would think that we could appeal also to the membership to help us kind of police that up a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, yeah, okay. What else?
That's it.
Wow. Duh.
I know.
It's bourbon dinner, Doug.
The bourbon dinner, I'll just post a whole off on that.
Okay.
That's, we're probably gonna do that, but it'll be in September. So we got a little leeway
Wait a
on
minute,
that.
that sounds pretty important.
I think that will be of interest to a number of people. We did it once before and there was a full house and then some.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else in the way of committee requests or committee fund requests? Thank you very much. Open forum. I understand we have Mr. Bob Sorrell is going to speak during open forum.
Yeah. I sure will. I think he's got some stuff that he wants to bring up.
Ooh, visual aids.
Bob, if you want to come around here, then you can.
Let's go over here.
You want to just use this mic?
You gotta
I
talk.
got Eric's
talk
in
to the
Briar.
mic.
You could use my mic.
Only reason being because I'm old, my back hurts half the time.
Okay.
I'm not gonna use that as an excuse for my golf game, but it just.
I don't need to clean up.
Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Here's a visual that I have, that you can look at as you wish, maybe before or after the meeting. But it basically just illustrates our existing lot 1210 house what it would look like if we would have the office do this, and they did a nice job. We do this a little bit because I'm in real estate. We do zoning meetings and the like, but not in case. The only thing is, there were some complaints that the slips, not the dock, the slips themselves, this portion of this finger was going to extend out the lake, and it does not. It does not even exist now, and nor will it be added to. So I'll leave that there for future reference. And then there's.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, the folks at home can't hear what you're saying unless you're talking into a microphone.
All right, thank you, sir. All I did was explain the fact that I live at 1210 Taos, and I have a board for illustrating our lot and the existing slips that are there, and how they conform and how they're recessed in our lot and versus instead of going out into the lake itself. There's one portion that was some objection I had heard and read, one of the fingers of the slip that extends out in the lake, that will not exist. The other portions that are going to go out into the lake are minimal at best. And then I have photographs, sir, of just other, like, or I should say, even larger examples of improvements, improvements being docks or shelters for vessels on our Lake of Four Seasons on the main body of the lake. Kathy and I's lot is actually in a cove where there's only a few residents in there. But so the purpose of me saying that is as vessel traffic is minimized there, and so it's not really it's not going to be a concern boating wise, I don't think. But since and I'm going to expedite this, so I'm just going to just talk here because I know this is something that we keep of record, but I want to be very quick, so I'll move this meeting along so you guys can see your spouses a little bit. First, I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to come forward to our board and discuss Kathy and my proposed dock roof. We initially thought that this proposal will not be a concern to our lake community, but as we've now witnessed, there's a contingency of folks who are opposed to our proposal. The plans that were submitted are not accurately drafted, as pointed out by some of the folks. And indeed, that finger is not actually going out. It's not going to be built. Also, the ECHO had mentioned that there would be an additional seawall built as a part of our improvement. That's not the case whatsoever. I don't know where that introduction of the seawall was even brought up. But to the contrary, the opinion of our architecture review committee, the integrity of this proposed dock is without question capable of supporting the weight of our vessel as demonstrated by multiple like docks and lifts already in existence here on our lake, which were built by Mr. Phil Grunges, our builder, and approved by former architecture review committees. Might it support a second floor platform for visitors or open kitchen appliances? I don't know. I do have some experience. I just, so people know my background, I serve as a certified crew member and vessel inspector with the United States Coast Guard Division 7 in the Southeast region. There, I also participate as an instructor for public boating classes every month. Maybe I'd have one here, but anyway, part of my service as a vessel inspector includes the review of how the vessel is berthed or docked, as well as the integrity and safety requirements for ingress egress to the open water. Our dock and the proposed cover was purposely built so as not to impede any boat traffic, unlike some of the existing approved docks which project off of the shoreline on our Lake of Four Seasons. But let's just kind of set that all aside because everybody's, kind of awry about this, which was okay. It's part of our community. Everyone has their opinion and they have that right to set their opinion forward. Kathy and I love Hideaway Hills. We have and we always will make efforts to support it with all our heart. The last thing we ever wish to do would be to create any dissension with our community, especially over the simple proposal of covering our already existing slips. Would it be a convenience to have our pontoon boat covered? Yes. Would we build it in a fashion that would complement our existing cove and not impede boat traffic? Yes. And that's demonstrated by letters from my neighbors immediately to us. We own the majority of the lots in the cove, but all of our neighbors suggested that they would wholeheartedly approve this. Would it truly detract from the community by being built too close to an existing ingress egress easement? No. And that's in question. I never did want to spend money for a survey at the cost of $1,800 to find out where this easement is, knowing that that easement would never really be absorbed by being in real estate. I know the electric company or gas company will not suggest that easement, but there is that easement provided for people in the public, meaning members of our community, to go up and down. More than happily allow them to do that. Would Kathy and I be willing to sign a recorded acknowledgement on title as owner of the property that would permit any future rights noted by the easement? Whereas we would remove the existing covered slips, which would also run with all future property owners? Yes. Might the passage or failure of this proposal by our governing board cause dissension amongst board members, who are, many of them are my friends, or those current members of our architectural review committee, or more importantly, a finger pointing scenario within our own community? Most likely. So for that reason alone, Kathy and I are going to walk away from our request. Life is just too short to allow this proposal the opportunity to add any more friction within our community. I appreciate your time and your consideration, and we wish you a good day, and we appreciate all your help here. Thank you. So you guys can all go home.
One last thing on our agenda.
Yeah, it's good. No, I thank you for your time and your volunteerism, and you guys do good work.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Bob.
Thanks.
Okay, so that may change up what we do next a little bit here. Is that it for open forum?
Yes, that's it for forum.
Okay, but Bob Sorrell and Kathy have officially withdrawn their request for variance on the dock that they had proposed building, so as not to create any more dissension within the community. So that being said, let's move forward to unfinished business. Linda Lonzinger on the proposed building code revisions, easements and setbacks vote.
That was amended to what was, somehow that was put in there erroneously. So it was amended to review and have a final vote on the maps, plans, and permits. It's included in your packet. It's run the 2 cycles in the Echo. We haven't received any comments. Are there any questions regarding this?
Mine's just for clarification. When it talks about the minimum drawing requirements, it has in here that you need to have your county health department's required pre-construction drawings and approval for well and sewage and so forth. What if I'm just asking for a color change in my house, or if I just want to put a driveway in or change something? I mean, there's other parts of our building code that certainly shouldn't require me to contact the health department as part of a permit. Or did I miss something? Help me out.
I agree. I don't know that our language says that, Chris. do you
It
wanna-
does. It says minimum drawing requirements include, and then it says C, your county health department required pre-construction drawings and approval. I think, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think it needs to be worded there. I don't know that I've got an answer, but just reading through it, if I want to go and change the color of my house or get a roof permit, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to require me to do that.
You're just saying like add if appropriate under the
Well.
circumstance.
If
so
applicable or something to
Yeah.
that
there
effect.
you need to have- Right, I mean, as long as we're going through the process of making all these clarifications and trying to make the code better. Help me out, is that an incorrect statement?
So I don't think, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you propose. I mean, what I do question is, does that change the game as far as what we ran in the, because we voted to put it in the Echo and let it run its course, right?
And that would be a modification, so potentially it would be.
The Same would be true of some of the other items under here.
Well, point out your concerns. You have Chris right behind you. ACC drafted this, so I would certainly want to hear their comments.
Well, and look, I mean, we're at a critical juncture with some other things going on, and the whole the whole posting process and the course it has to run once it's posted in both Echoes. is currently in play with multiple things. So, we either need to stand tall in the process or be able to make adjustments such as Eric proposes that really do make common sense. Yeah.
If it requires modification, it'll run 2 more cycles in the Echo. That's what we've done previously. So
But, and to Andy's point, I think and I just haven't, but I think there are other things
Yeah, because not everything in here would apply.
I realize that the idea is we have somebody who wants to build a house, we want to make sure everything's done right. Problem is, the way I see it, is we have other types of permits that all these rules have to apply to as well.
Yep.
So we need to kind of distinct between a new build permit and some of our other permits that we have. That's kind of what I've read through. Come to conclusion.
This is really applying to the new builds and
Right.
the extensions.
Should that be indicated? I guess it was indicated clearly.
It
Well,
is
it's
to
under-
me, but
It's under the building permits applications. Does that imply that that is new builds then?
it's below a building permit for a new dwelling or an addition over 350 square feet is valid for 12 months.
then it talks about the minimum drawing requirements, which are clearly only related to structures. And then C, your county health department's required pre-construction drawings and approval for well and sewage treatment system. That would be for, I would think, for new
That's
dwellings
for a new dwelling.
only. So
But
Right.
it
maybe I'm
doesn't say
missing the
that, right?
confusion.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, the concern is if right now, under this proposed language, if I want to put a new driveway in, or I want to change the color of my house, or I put a new roof,
But you wouldn't have to submit plans, including elevations for a driveway.
Existing or
Well, even a new.
wouldn't I have to submit drawings for a driveway?
Yes. On the site.
Right.
Site map.
Right? So I'm just trying to get it right.
Mhm.
And if I've got it, this is minimum drawing requirements. So if I've got to do something where I gotta do drawing, I feel like,
Okay, the minimum drawing requirements include, but are not limited to, is currently in the language, that's not new. And then it says, instead of floor plans, we just say plans. And then including elevation views showing heights, windows, and door placement.
Okay,
And that would not apply to the driveway.
it's currently under 200.01, talking about the well and septic. Eric,
yes,
here.
So it's really not
It's not
changing
changing
what's
that.
there already, other than clarifying things.
so in this section that's being asked to be changed is specifically under dwellings, not under our entire building.
No, it's under 200.01 permit application. But, the
Maybe
current
in-
language says an overhead view showing all rooms and their intended use, including door and window sizes. Obviously, that wouldn't apply to the driveway.
It seems that this to me is in the wrong spot. It seems like this requirement to have your county departments, pre-construction drawings and so forth from the county should be under dwellings, not under your general permit application.
Well, that's how it
Well,
currently is now.
Right,
Does that
under
make
dwellings,
sense? I don't
think
know.
It says
Well,
much of anything.
We've got a lot of changes that we're putting here. Just my suggestion.
Okay, do we need to table the vote to go back in and open things back up and take a look at whether or not it's in the proper place or it needs to be moved?
I
Bless
think we probably have, Chris, can we defer to
Under-
you on this?
Under dwellings, there's nothing that this is just a quick. It says acceptable siding materials, acceptable roofing materials, architectural features. There's nothing about site plans under what's currently 200.02 dwellings.
It's under currently 200.01, just like
Right.
you have it.
So it's really, not changing the way it's been for a decade.
Okay.
And,
But we're making all these other changes. Shouldn't we go and include that change in?
well, but it doesn't really necessarily apply only to dwellings. It applies to a 350 square foot addition. It would apply to a garage. It would apply to, could apply to a shed, not the septic, not the county health, but certainly.
Any additions?
Look, Mary Beth and I were just kind of chatting here. I think what we need to do is delay this for a board meeting. And let's work with Chris to see and make sure that it's in the right spot. If it wasn't in the right spot to begin with and it needs to be moved, then I suggest while we have the patient open, we move it. I think Eric makes it,
Because it's in the same spot it's been for some time.
and at best, that would be a change, correct?
So we'd have. to
So,
show it.
yeah, absolutely.
But Eric, can you look at it in the meantime and figure out if there's more changes you want to it between meetings? I mean, because
I
they
can
could,
certainly look
Well,
at it. It just, I looked at this today and I looked at this and I'm like, okay, God, I'm doing something different. I can do all this other stuff. It's just
You
not like-
make a very valid
it wasn't-
point.
It wasn't like a. So I think we want to try to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all.
If we're gonna change it, we need to change it. We need to make it right though, from stem to stern.
but maybe you can work with them on where you think it should fit and stuff.
We could even e-vote as to whether or not, well, we wouldn't make this echo if we wanted to change it and make it the first posting unless we do it in the next day or so,
Unless you
correct?
Say if applicable, comma,
And keep it in the same spot.
and just keep it in the same
Because
spot.
that does pertain to the application.
Yeah, you
and
could
that's
e-vote that.
Where it would show up. It's under permit application.
Would that satisfy it?
You're asking me to have, I haven't looked at, because I think Kathy Annie has some points that there are some other things in our building code that it says you got to do this when it's under another category. I'd like to review it too. And I mean, this.
Well, so I say we review it. And the rub is that we're here and we've had this in front of us for,
For 2 months.
a couple months, but look, it needs to be right. And it needs to be right going forward.
Yeah, and could we make it right soon as opposed to 2 months from now? After I spend a bunch of time and get it in the echo and then, this stuff takes hours.
How hard can it be just to get it with the applicable, with the one word changing?
Well, this is where we're getting into some pretty gray area. No, I understand, but we've got other things on the table with people that have wanted to change something that we've already posted once that we've denied. And so if we're gonna do this, we gotta do it the whole way around, gang. And to be honest with you, this isn't a life or death situation here. And it needs to be right. So regardless of how much we change it, if we're going to change it, we're going to put it back up through the same process we're making everybody else adhere to.
Maybe.
But my point is, let's not let me work for 2 months and then someone say, oops.
I think I just got done saying
I
that.
like the
Yep.
oops soon.
I understand. And for that,
You guys do put a lot of effort in.
well, and there's an opportunity to go around the room, one last check and balance before we vote to even post it in the echo to say, hey, let's not forget what we went through the last time. So it's,
Annie, what were your concerns?
Well, I
understand what
wasn't
you're
realizing
saying
that this
there.
was under the building permit app. So if you're doing a building permit, you're probably going to have floor plans and site drawings. Like I was thinking originally it was just general permit requests and it's not. So
Well,
those probably are always applicable.
not for a driveway.
But is that what you get a building permit?
You do get a building.
All right, well then, yeah, then it's
a
applicable.
driveway.
Anything on here that's not, because it says minimum requirements, it implies that you have to have all of them.
Well, maybe that's the word change.
Mhm.
And that's an old word. I mean, is that in black or in red?
It's in black.
It's in black, so that's been there for.
Mhm.
Right.
since
But
the
you guys
last-
need to have, you have to have standards on what you're asking for somebody, so minimum probably is correct. We're dealing with the house.
Mhm.
It's gotta go and tweak it.
Okay, it sounds to me like we need to table this and get it revised and get it into something that we
I don't
all
think it'll
agree
take
on.
much.
I'll take a look at it as well.
yeah.
I know this. it's-
Well, I'll think of my schedule. The deadline is the end of this week, technically Thursday, but maybe Friday.
That's to get it to Ginger. to
Right.
To
Brian
get it to
Franco.
Ginger,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
So if I think there'll be minor changes, can we do this email?
We can
Should we
vote on
vote,
it
you
if,
mean?
if we get it
By
done
email.
quickly. So maybe, I don't know, Eric, if you have time to look at it quickly.
Let's not be voting on anything E or otherwise
This
until
would be
we
to
know
get-
what we're going to maybe propose. Because I think it's just a matter at most of a few words.
Right.
I agree.
I mean, just a qualifier. It's just essentially a qualifier.
If applicable.
Yeah, I mean, as applicable or unless previously submitted or whatever.
understood.
They're
Yep.
just options there.
Yep.
And that's all we need to do, I think, Chris. Yeah, we don't need to, overthink this.
Yeah, I mean, if
But we
if
need to know
that'll,
what we're thinking before we.
yeah, if that'll kill the
Yeah.
problem, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then we run it again.
Yeah.
So it's that simple.
So expect something within the next 48 hours. Give or take.
Okay.
Shall I get it to you soon?
I'm just,
No, I'm fine. We'll fix it.
yeah, I will take a look at it again as well.
Hey,
Okay.
and look, gang, tell also, I mean, this is why we talk about it. I mean, even if there is a problem, as is tonight, it's out on the table, we're dealing with it, okay?
Do you
So,
have my
I,
email? Do you have my email address? Can you look at it tonight and get something to me?
I'll probably get home at 11 o'clock tonight, so probably not.
I'll probably get home after
So.
that. I'll be
look
up.
at it tomorrow.
And I'll be up at 6 tomorrow.
no way you'll be home. You must have another stop here because after eliminating these committee reports, we're getting out of here. Okay, fair
All
enough.
right.
Okay,
So I
thank you.
expect to hear from Eric. Thank you.
Eric, I appreciate you speaking up, buddy.
So as far as ACC approval for colors, is this gonna be delayed at all or? Or like?
We're not talking about that at all.
Like Monday?
No, that's not on the topic.
That's not the discussion.
That's not part of the process?
No.
right now? Okay,
Nope.
I just wanna make sure that I'm not delayed and everything else, so that's fine.
Okay. By virtue of Mr. Sorrell's announcement to the board, I believe that the hearing is no longer warranted. Is that what I'm hearing?
If he's withdrawn his variance
Yep.
request, so there's no vote required or no action required on. the board's
Okay.
part.
That takes us to the shooting range. What a long, strange trip it's been. Let me say that. The two board meetings ago, we shut down the range for a multitude of reasons. And we set out on this journey to try to figure out what was going on at the range and see what we could do about it. As I stated in previous board meetings, the process that we used to quote unquote shut down the range was shaky at best. It was late. This is one of the reasons why we're trying to find in the meat and potatoes of our meetings where we can cut out some time, because by the time that we get to the executive sessions, it's at the end of the meeting and it kind of wanes on everybody. So what we didn't do was state to each other and map out how we were going to go about shutting the range down. That led to a weekend with some confusion in the way that we did it. And along with that came an inspection by our, who was then brand new general manager and our security supervisor. and they found some safety violations. At this time, everybody was wanting to know what the safety violations are. And by the way, everything that I'm going to cover here will be posted in the Echo as part of the final result on the range. But I sent to everyone yesterday evening, I believe 5 different things. They were the final report from the NRA training counselor that I engaged by the name of Jessamy Bright, that came in and spent the entire day with us to take a look at our range and discuss some of our processes, our SOP, our bylaws, and take a look at whatever it was she felt she needed to come up with a final report and analysis on what she thought would help us. Along with that information I sent out last night was the revised release waiver that we were going to use at the range. This release was drawn up by Jeff Spangler, our club attorney. It had at least one thing that was in it that the folks from the range, when we sat down with them and had a 4-on-4 meeting with 4 members of the board and 4 members from the range committee, that they wanted us to strike from the waiver. We agreed to strike that. It is no longer in this release waiver. The members of the range committee felt as though it was rather long. When I went back upstream to make that comment to Jeff Spangler, he simply told me there's a reason for that. It's because the waiver that we were currently using was simply adequate, and it wasn't, as he termed it, best practice. We decided to go with the new waiver form that he put in front of us. Also in the packet that I sent last night were the 3 soil samples that Linda Hodge and I went out on a very rainy day and took behind the range backstop, on the left of the range backstop and on the right of the range backstop, all of which came back negative or within 0.1%. Steve, help me out.
They set their test equipment for a range, so they have a bottom, not always being 0 on different elements that they test for. And we were within 1/100%, I think, of not being negligible at all. So we basically, our backstop in the soil around there, the clay packed on there is containing all the lead. It's not leaking into the environment, and it's doing exactly what it was designed to do.
So that was the soil test kit that I sent to you as well. I also sent the final committee bylaws that we looked at and hashed out during our 4-on-4 meeting roughly 4 weeks ago, and also a copy of the range SOP that we finalized between the 2 groups. I had originally thought that we could move forward quickly after we had that 4-on-4 meeting, but schedules did not line up, and we had multiple back and forth sessions with each other as we pinned down the changes that we thought were necessary, that the range would agree to, and the changes that they thought were necessary as well. All that being said, the report that came back to us from Jessamy Bright on our range and her assessment of it was, for the most part, what we knew all along. And that's that we had some adjustments to make to multiple facets of the shooting range. That primarily our problem was the team in and of itself and not being able to get along. And there was some dissension between some of the committee members, which ultimately led to the final straw, if you will, to us saying, we just need to step back and regroup. All that being said, all of these reports that I sent out are very lengthy, and I won't read through them tonight. I have, along with the safety violations that were corrected, there were, I think, 6 safety violations, 5 or 6, that were fairly easily corrected. I will publish those as well to the membership so they know what they were. None of them were so detrimental that they couldn't be fixed in relative short order. And the range committee endeavored to get that done as quickly as possible once we agreed what they were and what needed to be done. That being said, I'll open up the table for discussions on what I sent out yesterday. But I would like to recommend that we make a motion and vote on whether or not to open up the range at tonight's meeting. There are still a couple of things that are in the recommendations that will need to be worked on once we open things back up. According to the instructor that came in and did the assessment, but we've got to get started somewhere so that we can get back to the business of opening the amenity back up, because as an official Hideaway Hills amenity, we cannot keep it closed. So that being said, I solicited input from everybody on the board during this entire process, and at each critical juncture in what I was doing. And I feel as though we've got enough valid and good information to use to make this decision here tonight. The last thing I would tell you is that the young lady or the lady that came in to do the assessment is very well credentialed. She is also an NRA training counselor. And it became very apparent very early on in this entire process that the range industry in and of itself in the state of Ohio is very highly unregulated, and there are not a lot of people that do this. During that iteration and the search for her, there were multiple questions by members stating that they had been informed that we were rebuked by the NRA and the state of Ohio, or the ODNR, as it relates to our range, which simply were not true. I never engaged the NRA one time, nor did I engage the ODNR on any of this at any time. So let's get it out in the open so we can see if we can get our range open back up. Do I have any questions?
I want to commend you, though. I want to commend the way you work, Jazz, with both groups, bringing them together, the extra effort you went into to go out there with Linda, with different people to really assess personally the situation out there. I think that who you brought in, I read the report today. She seemed very thorough. I thought that she pointed out, as you mentioned, the things that we believe we noticed, and then others. And so I am complimentary of you, and I think that report was very, very good and thorough, as is that waiver. I glanced through that. I don't know a lot of that, but it looked pretty thorough to me.
And I appreciate that. I would tell, and you guys know, I mean, because I didn't update you after I made every phone call or every place I jumped in the truck and drove to, but this has occupied a ton of time, and it's for the right reason. Okay. But there are other things in Hideaway Hills that we need to address as well. And so we've done our due diligence. We've taken the proper amount of time to get to where we're at tonight. And we need to vote on it. And quite honestly, we need to move on. We got other things we need to address. So any other comments?
Yeah, and I apologize. I didn't see this earlier when I looked through this, but I just noticed it now. But in the bylaws, I think they're great, by the way. In the beginning there in chapter 3, it talks about who's on the membership of the committee, and it just says members in good standing have voting rights when it comes to policy and guidelines concerning the range committee. Is there a reason they couldn't vote on any business pertaining to the committee? Is there a reason we specifically only said policy and guidelines?
Well, that
Could it
is-
just be any
that is
committee?
our only business.
Well, you
It's the
guys
way it
vote
was
on
stated that
having
way.
events
We
and
later
stuff.
divided it out between the operations, physical operations of the range, and then just a set of operating bylaws for secretaries, treasurers, chairs, vice chairs, co-chairs, and so on. And that's the only reason it's always been in there, and it was just because we have a member that could come, Sue could come and join the
Yep.
range committee.
Yep.
Not ever have any certifications, have no intentions of shooting.
Yep.
But would like to be part of the range committee.
Yep.
But we wanted to know, as long as she was an active member within the range committee, she had the same voting rights as everybody else, is why it's in there. We wouldn't exclude them just because they weren't NRA certified.
So do you don't ever vote on anything else?
Are you asking if a specific committee in the range could vote on something that the whole membership?
My
could
question
not?
is you vote on things that you discuss at any meeting. You don't just talk about policies and guidelines. I would think that you would want anything discussed at a committee meeting that has a vote would be included in their rights. to
And
vote.
see, this is where we were glad that you had made the amount of headway that you had on the committee guidelines, which really came into play here. We also, by the way, sent those committee guidelines to Jessamy Bright to take a look at as well, because we thought there were things that were buried in there that we didn't need to address in and of the range committee itself. So we kind of looked at the way that your guidelines were set up and let that govern some of these processes.
In the introduction of that, it says Hideaway Hills rules.
Yeah.
Committee guidelines apply. So those apply. Anything in that committee guideline applies to these as well.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why it was stated at the beginning to all encompass what you just finished
Okay.
with. And for future changes, and we could have other changes in 5 years, and this would prevent us from going back in there. We'll always adhere to the BOT and what they bring forth for the membership.
And again, I mean, your documents and the way we had that structured coming into this thing really helped out.
Okay,
It really did.
that was the only question I had.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we open the range.
I'll second.
Okay,
Can I make a suggestion? I'm commenting on the
I
motion.
know, I know.
Shouldn't we vote individually on the waiver? And all of that first and the SOP.
Each
and
part of
everything?
the,
Yeah, do we need to approve each of these here?
The waiver and the SOP will be part of the waiver package. and will be part of
I
the
understand,
SOP
but
package.
don't we need to vote on that?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, I think
Um,
we could open the range and then vote on their SOP. You know what I mean? Couldn't
I
we?
would rather do in the opposite
Oh,
order.
okay.
I mean, otherwise,
Okay,
The SOP that we've submitted to you has not been approved by the committee.
okay, well, then we can't
Yeah.
vote on it. Yeah,
So it has, these are changes we made working with the board members
Okay.
that we were discussing. So now, once, I mean, I guess you could do a preemptive.
No, I think-
Acceptance by the board is what we need.
Yes,
Yeah.
It will pass our group.
yes, it will pass our committee.
have no issue.
But by
Yeah.
what we have had as our operating system, it has to be submitted in writing to the members of the committee
yep, I
20
agree.
days prior to voting on it.
Okay,
But if it's already been, this iteration has already been given the okey dokey by the board, that makes that process a lot easier to accomplish. And maybe be able to vote to waiver 20 days.
well, that being said, should we do this contingent upon approval from the range committee on the SOP and bylaws? I'd be more than happy to structure it that way.
Does that mean the range does or doesn't open?
Well, we can vote tonight. Well, first of all, we need to decide whether or not we need to vote on each individual. Do we need to vote on the bylaws and vote on the SOP and vote on the waiver?
I think you have to approve.
Okay,
those. Yeah, and I don't think probably best not to do it as in a lump sum,
okay.
would be my thought. have a
Um,
problem with them. I'm just saying that's.
Yep,
probably
the
procedurally
assessment
how
by
we
the
should-
third party individual would not need to be voted on.
Correct.
And nor would the
No.
soil samples.
No,
So we've kind of pared it down to the SOPs, the bylaw, and the waiver form.
yeah, because that's
Okay.
part of the
So I'll
due
make a
diligence of the
motion
board.
to-
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta withdraw the other motions first. They have to.
Okay. So we would need Eric to
But you need
withdraw.
me to withdraw my motion.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so you're saying that we need to, please tell me, because I didn't we follow that. We need to approve the SOP first.
Each part.
We need to approve the SOP. We need to approve the bylaws and we need to approve the waiver form
Under the condition
Separately.
that the range approves them as well.
contingent upon the range
Approval.
of voting to approve all three.
The waiver form would be an appendix in the SOP.
Yeah, it used to
I
be.
did not
That's
get
why
the
I was
waiver form in
confused.
time. If you look at what I put together, the spaces saved for it. I just got it from Chad's late yesterday.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with
Oh,
that.
So
I'm
we
not
can do
worried
it
about
two
that.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The SOP and the appendix.
Okay.
and where does fitting in the opening of the range fall?
Well, that's separate vote.
I was gonna say.
Fine, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. Eric withdraws his motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve and adopt condition upon range approval, the SOP and any appendix.
Which is the waiver form.
And can we say bylaws too? At this end, just do it in one vote and bylaws.
Well, they are separate documents, are they not?
Let's just do it separately
All
then.
right. So
Okay.
the SOP
So-
and appendix.
I second
and the
that.
appendices.
Okay, so motion made by Mary Beth to adopt or to approve the SOP and the appendix, which includes the waiver form. Do I have a second?
I second.
Cabot.
Cabot seconds. Conversation. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I now need a motion to vote on approving the bylaws that are associated with this assessment
Pending approval.
pending approval by the range committee.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mary Beth. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Doug Parker. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I would now like to entertain a motion
I'd like
To-
motion to open the range.
to open the range. Motion made by Eric Lapp. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Cabot Ray. Conversation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
She was gonna make a comment.
Or did you have something you needed?
Just for clarity, what if, and I know, Steve, you said it wouldn't be a problem, but what if this goes back to the committee, the range committee, and they don't approve it as written, what then?
They'll have to come back and talk to us
Yeah.
about it then.
Yeah, it was,
Just
this is,
Yeah.
it was contingent.
upon-
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
all
so
right,
we've got that laced in there.
all right.
Back to, I had a motion by Eric to open the range. I had a second from
Right.
Cabot Ray. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, lot joinder issue with Chris Milburn, Mary Beth Fisher.
Okay, so this was sort of vague how we left this last time, but I did speak with the office. They investigated a little bit and what we said we would look into is when the original building on Chris's lots was approved, or what was it actually approved to build across two lots, or were they supposed to stay on one? So I think the important parts are in 2001 is when this garage and great room was submitted to the ACC at that time. there was no easement between the properties. And the drawing did show it going over the lot lines and it was approved. So what he has on there was actually approved by the ACC. There's no easement waiver, so it would not at that time have come to the board. The ACC at that time either didn't enforce or didn't require or whatever a joinder. And so, you know, I sort of think at this point, I don't know if we're gonna require he join those properties or not. We're in this situation. I think we all sort of thought he shouldn't necessarily have to pay that money, but I don't think he necessarily has to join them either. I don't know what you guys think, though.
Well, and I think we also discussed giving him some other options that he may be able to use to get through this process as well.
He was going to contact, what was it, the county or something, to see again where it stands with them.
Yeah, and when I talked to the office, they're like, this joinder is really just for Hideaway Hills.
Right,
It's not
that's
really
correct.
for the county.
That's correct.
If title insurance
that
isn't gonna cover it, you know, it's really a Hideaway Hills function. So I think we're gonna run into more of these
Well,
properties.
Fairfield County might, and very likely, in my opinion, will look at that differently than Hocking County, by the way,
Yeah.
as far as the joiner. Why? Because I've had those discussions with those folks in the past about it.
For a structure that's already built.
Yeah, no matter what, they're just gonna have different ways of looking at it.
I got
mean,
you.
Hocking County goes, no, that's none of our business. We don't have to worry about it. It's just the way they do it.
So
I
what do
mean,
we
it-
do with this?
Oh, brother, I don't see any. Why does he have to, why would he have to join them together now? This isn't the kind of thing we've been dealing with some of these other requests,
Mhm.
as far as I understand it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I believe it was because he couldn't get a building permit approved, right?
They can't get
To
the
build a
fe- he
fence.
wants to build a fence across the line
the
and he has
dogs.
to join it to do that,
Per our rules.
for our rules.
For our rules, yep.
Okay. Do we do a special circumstance to get this done? Because I believe what we talked about was just kind of letting it go.
Those special circumstances aren't going over real well.
Well, your special
So now we're
circumstance
talking
here
about
is a variance.
Request then?
That's
You're
a
talking about a
variance.
variance
That's a
request.
variance.
Yes, you are. Yeah, that's
This
really,
was 3 owners ago and 21
Yeah.
years ago. that
yeah,
This happened.
yeah.
But he should not be required, I think, as a
To
part
pay
of
the
that,
fee.
to pay that fee.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't see why we have to join it. I mean, we can do a variance request,
Yeah.
allow them and right.
that's what I would
No
think.
cost associated with it, just get it done.
But as I say, I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on TV. So, yeah. I don't know.
Understood. I mean, it sounds feasible. I'll throw it out there.
Well,
I mean, let's not forget too, Chris he's a month into this and, you know. So, and if he goes variance,
2 months,
yeah,
right? We got 2 months of.
Yep.
notices and,
and then 2 open meetings, so.
Or we pay the $255 and join them. And then there's.
well, then you're gonna pay a whole lot of $255
Because I think they're gonna
going
find
forward.
more.
Yeah, you will. You will. That's gonna happen. I'm pretty certain of that.
Yeah.
I've seen enough of the maps, the old maps in the files before to guess that. So
except this is new information.
I
So we didn't
understand.
know this was
I understand.
new.
Yeah.
So.
I know.
So I guess I would propose that we make this exception for this particular case because it is new information.
Mhm.
And going forward, somebody will have to go through the regular variance process.
That doesn't seem fair.
No.
Well, so if someone else comes in, Eric, with the same situation that the ACC back in 2000
Yeah.
didn't catch it, you're saying treat them different. We can't do that.
Well, and I would think Jeff Spangler would have something to say about that because we
Yeah.
just engaged him on another situation. But you know, I mean, if folks, this is what drives you crazy because, you know, for years, people made decisions like these and now, you know, we're have our feet held to the fire to see the rule be the rule or see the code be the code. And sure was a lot easier back in the day, but it's caused some problems that we're having to contend with now.
If Chris
So-
paid join your fee, would it be done?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he doesn't want to.
It'd be
Well,
done.
then you can wait 2 months.
It'd
That's,
actually be
that's what I'm hearing.
It's 2 notices in the Echo,
Well,
and then
whatever it's
there's
gonna
2
be.
here, it'd be 4 months.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that he'll have to request a variance and we'll have to put it through the normal variance process, correct?
So Chris has to submit that to the.
Yep,
Echo,
yep.
And, okay,
Or he can pay the fee, but he doesn't want to do that. That was the whole point, because it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Okay. Or and we should check this out.
Yep, okay. All right, member request to use club property. If you remember, last month I had said that I received correspondence from a club member requesting that we consider letting his son's high school, which is Burn Union High School, potentially use the area down by the ORV track to let his son practice 2 or 3 times cross country because they're losing their track due to the school being rebuilt in Sugar Grove. And also that would lead to an actual track meet being hosted there as well. He originally, when I checked in with him before tonight's meeting, he said he's still waiting on some liability information from the school. He said he'd be more than happy to come in and kind of explain the whole process that he would ask us to consider tonight. I said, let's wait and we got a little bit of time to work with here because this wouldn't happen until in the fall anyhow. And I said, maybe we can have you come in next month and give us some of the finer details. So that is the update in and of itself. And he will probably be in here next month with the proper documentation that the school gives him.
Yeah, they essentially are gonna need to be held harmless.
Yes.
That would be part of it. I mean, that's a small part, but that's the.
Yeah. Yep.
And they've got an attorney to advise them on that. All of that.
Absolutely. So they're in the process of vetting that entire process. More to follow next month. That leads us to reaffirming the e-votes with Mary Beth.
Chaz,
Yep.
Point of clarification, so we've opened the range.
Mhm.
We still do not have a chairman for the range committee.
It's a good
That's as
point.
Unfinished business as I could think of.
Yep.
So I would like to make a motion that Steve Cundiff and Jim Hiles be co-chair of the range committee.
Okay. So
Are they, is that, that's the prior vote? Are they gonna vote again or they
I-
follow committee rules or, I mean, because I think that was the process before, but I thought it was gonna get thrown back to the committee and they would be voting on it pursuant to committee rules.
What I understood.
The committee has voted and approved those 2 people to be the co-chairs of the range committee. To the
Well-
Minutes and.
yeah, let's not forget also that Steve is also running for the Board of Trustees. So in the event that he would be elected, I don't believe he can be a committee chair or co-chair in this case. Is that not the case?
We've had trustees be chair.
Have we?
Yeah. I
Okay,
believe Tim was co-chair of golf for a while.
Mhm.
now leave it up to Tim. Okay. I just thought I'd throw that out there so we're sure what we're doing here. Do we want to entertain a motion from Eric to elect both Jim Hiles and Steve Cundiff co-chairs of the range committee? I would need a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Tim Weibel. Any further discussion?
So when they had their vote before, that was before all this range stuff, I think, sort of went down.
No, it was after.
It was after
Mhm.
all of
There was
this.
18 or so people from the range committee at that meeting.
So I'm just wondering if any of the findings will have an opinion difference on any of the votes now with information coming out. I don't know that it will. But that's why I sort of assumed once we opened it, they would have their meeting and go back and do a vote and with people having all the information. I mean.
Can I comment, Chess?
Sure.
Any of the alleged or found to be true safety issues at the range had nothing to do with myself personally or Jim Hiles.
Okay,
The issues at hand have been resolved by the resignation of one of our members of that committee.
And do you think if they voted, anything would change on you guys being voted in?
Guarantee it not, because they assume today that we are the chair. In their eyes, we are still the chair of that committee.
But you
Pending your-
don't feel comfortable going back and having them just.
We have a multitude.
We don't have that
of
problem in our committee.
We have a
are
multitude of unfinished business. We have multiple people that are waiting to get their certifications reimbursed through our committee. But right now, we don't have a chairman to submit that information. We are left headless right now.
And somebody could vote for a new president or put a motion for a new president anytime. They could do that. to me.
well, and I might add also that we did go to both Steve and Jim during this process and also included the two of them in the 4 people from the range committee that attended the meeting 4-on-4 with the board members as well. So I think there's something to be said for that. That being said, any other conversation? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried.
I'm
Oh.
abstaining.
You're abstaining. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Were you a yay? Okay. So we've got 5 yays, 1 nay, and 1 abstain. So the motion is carried. That Steve Cundiff and Jim Hiles are now co-chair of the range committee. Okay, so we good?
Are we going beyond this petty variance now, or is this?
We're moving past that. That was amended at the beginning when I did the agenda. We need to reaffirm the e-votes with Mary Beth Fisher.
I'm gonna read the 8-0 first, and that is approved golf committee funds for use to pay Eagle Golf Cars $640 for the member guest tournament. Approve Kathy Boysko to be reimbursed $301.90 from new member committee funds for the signs and name tags. Approve reimbursement of Vicky Guy for flowers and plots for the tennis court area from tennis committee funds in the amount of $79.39. Approve August 27 concert from 7 to 10 PM at the amphitheater for $750 for Mud Sparrows, plus approve 3 new wall sconces for the lodge at a cost not to exceed $400, both from food committee funds. 7-0. Approved July 30 from 11 AM to 1 PM for a new member sponsored beach party. Approve up to $700 from Activities for Youth Committee to spend for Dam Jam expenses. Approve plans for candidates who are running for the Board of Trustees in August. And that would be 3 questions submitted and include those question and answers in the July Echo on a voluntary basis. Meet the candidate event will occur prior to the July 2nd concert at the amphitheater from 6 to 7. A second Meet the Candidate event will occur on July 16 in conjunction with the Arts and Craft event near the Organic Garden from 11 AM till noon. Approved garden committee funds to be used to pay the Hideaway Hills Clubhouse $49.50 for maintenance employees' lunches. Approved compassion subcommittee funds being used to reimburse Rich Radowski $311.33 for Good Works food purchase. Approved social committee hosting Bluegrass Band on 8/13/22 and change the September 3rd concert to a tailgate party at 4 PM before the OSU versus Notre Dame game. Approved to place the petty variance request in the Echo for 2 months as revised. And 6O would be approved payment of the following expenses from the Health and Wellness Committee funds. Reimburse Tom Matthews for fitness center supplies as follows. $106.75 for a table in the women's bathroom, $19.98 for Sam's Club supplies, $148.25 for Menard supplies, $84.83 for table for men's bathroom, $150.09 for trash cans. And I make, let's see. Approve payment to Wright Landscaping in the amount of $844.36 plus $83.27 from the pool committee funds for labor and supplies for improvements to pool area. And I make a motion that we adopt and approve the e-votes.
Okay, so I've got a motion by Mary Beth to approve the e-votes, seconded by Tim Weibel. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mary Beth.
I've got a quick question before we go on.
Mhm.
The shooting range is effectively open when? Tomorrow, starting tomorrow? When's it gonna be open?
That's a good question.
I would say yes. I mean, I don't,
6/22?
yep. See no reason why we shouldn't open it up immediately.
Who's gonna run out there and shoot tonight?
That being said, now let's discuss real quick about reopening it because we did a poor job of closing it. Andy, will you give the directive tomorrow to have the locks switched back to the original locks? One recommendation would be that we look at the fact that we need separate keys for the ORV track and the range, which is something that we discovered when we were closing said range down. Okay, good point, Tim. Thank you. Okay, new business topics. We had received a email a day or so ago from a gentleman by the name of last name Noah Kiger. I'm sorry, first name Noah, last name Kiger, pertaining to a new committee, which we think needs to be a subcommittee for the disc golf. I have to be honest with you, I didn't know that we didn't have a committee for the disc golf. We very quickly looked at this and said, probably a good idea to have that as a subcommittee. And I'll just throw it out there. If we don't feel as though we're prepared to vote for that tonight, or we need a little bit more information, we can do that. But this doesn't seem real critical path type stuff. So
Who would be a subcommittee?
Yeah.
on that?
subcommittee.
What's that?
Who's subcommittee?
Yeah.
Could it be
we,
activities for youth or?
you know, we kicked around activities for youth. But we did it quickly because we didn't receive it until the day before last, I think.
How
And
much genuine interest is there in disc golf that it would justify this?
well, here's what we could do. We could ask Mr. Kiger to come in and explain that to us at the next board meeting.
I guess I don't have a problem with it being a subcommittee. If somebody wants to be a subcommittee for the horseshoes, they can do that as well. But, you know, a whole committee for one particular amenity.
Right.
Plus,
So
we,
I could be on the subcommittee.
Well,
definitely so.
And look, I mean, I think we need to strike while the iron's hot too. If this gentleman's willing to come in and champion this effort, I say we take him up on it. Why don't we invite Noah into next month's board meeting to come in and give us kind of the lowdown on what his ideas are? And that'll help us better direct him towards where we think he needs to ultimately land.
Yeah, just
Does that
keep in
sound
mind-
good?
The pool, there was never a pool committee for
Yeah.
a lot of years. I mean, that's actually pretty recent.
Gotcha.
Well, and now
There
we've
was
got a
no
subcommittee for
committee,
pool.
I guess where I'm going with this, I mean, since I have been on the board,
Yeah.
we've had committees added,
Oh,
we've
yeah.
had subcommittees added,
Yeah.
and it's getting to the point where it can almost be overwhelming.
Yeah,
to keep
Well,
track of
it
Yeah.
is.
everything.
I agree. Plus, Tim,
Yeah.
there's financial implications.
Right,
I
right.
mean, when are you eligible for money? Things like that. So I say we kind of step back and I'll reach out to Noah.
It appears Noah might be tuning in there. I see his name up there.
Yes,
Yeah, I
I'm
know he's
here if you'd
not
like to
talking, but he
me to talk
probably
more.
he should need to come in.
He knows we're talking
And
about him.
explain why, what the subcommittee would do, what would be its purposes for that particular.
Yeah, so to have
That's
them come
good.
in.
That's good. That's
Yep.
fair.
Noah, we'll
Yeah.
invite you to the next meeting, buddy. You can put together a short presentation for us and just kind of lay out what you envision. And we'll help move you along. How's that sound?
Yep, that sounds all good. I appreciate it.
There you go.
Okay, we appreciate you stepping up, buddy.
Mhm.
Here's something that is a derivative of the release form for the range committee. When we were looking at it, a couple of suggestions were made that why do we do this for just the range committee? I mean, obviously we understand there's guns and they shoot, right? So it's a little more critical path than say maybe the disc golf committee. But do we need to entertain possibly having the members sign a waiver for all the amenities? And we kind of raised an eyebrow and said, no, you know what, we probably ought to at least throw that on the table. So that's what this is about. Do we need to discuss, or do we need to officially put a spotlight on whether or not we think we need to do that for all the amenities, not just the range?
Suppose once a year, when we're sending out like road assessment or something like that, we could send a waiver form and say, please return it once a year for all of the amenities. Something along those lines.
And then you're not gonna get people to sign it, and then they're gonna come and get all upset as to why can't I play golf today? I think.
And who's
we-
gonna track that? Who's playing?
Well, it's no
Yeah.
different than people being delinquent, which means they're not supposed to have access to our amenities, and nobody enforces that. There's guys playing golf that are, delinquent and going to the lodge, and I mean, unless these things are going to be enforced, you're going to have everybody sign a waiver, and people don't do it, then what are we going to do?
Penny keeps track of
Well,
stuff really
yeah, but-
closely.
but
You
she-
could say if they don't return it by a date certain, that it should, there's some fine that gets added on monthly until they return it.
I gotta tell you, I'm with Tim. I mean, we're all about making the rules, but we got to make sure that we're able to enforce them. And again, this is another thing that we would hang on the office.
I know.
Okay, that we already know is understaffed.
We've never had, I mean, we've had various legal counsels that I can recall, but the bottom line is we've never had anybody even hint at something like this being necessary. For legal purposes. I mean.
Yeah,
for-
and I'm not
protect the
even,
public.
I can't
So I-
even sit here
yeah,
and tell you that
yeah.
there's not something that the club does that doesn't have an umbrella that sits on top of this
Yeah,
that would
that's what I
include
was
the
gonna say,
members.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it'd
I
be
would think
highly
so.
unlikely that we would be as
Yeah.
big as we are and not have something which maybe we ask Andy to take a peek at that and say, is there anything else that would cover us in the event that something like that happens?
Yeah,
But it
it's-
was food for thought. So
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Um,
That's fine.
But we've got to call Spangler anyway about the prior joinder thing.
Yep.
So we could probably ask him, but
Okay.
this isn't from him though. He didn't say.
No,
this.
no. This was just general conversation and somebody said, you know what? Why we just single out the range?
Well,
And
I know they have waiver now for
Health
the
and
fobs at the health and wellness.
Yep,
Again, that's a little bit different thing.
yep.
And what about the pool? I mean, there are a few committees where, you know, but I
You
don't
you
think.
could say that, you could say that about everything.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
could say that about the golf course.
Well, see at the,
You could say it about the lake,
health, at the health, at
Service, can we?
probably.
well, see, you have lifeguards at the pool, you know, and there's no guns or anything involved, but the bottom line is over at the fitness center, you really have to sign a waiver because we don't have anybody in there overseeing it. And that is, I think, pretty critical. And the guns thing, I'm sorry, that speaks for itself. That's not a comment on guns. It's just, that's a different animal, as you said before. It's a very different animal.
Yep.
And obviously Spangler said you need that, and that's why we have that. So that makes sense.
So Andy, we've been discussing whether or not the board thinks we need to look into members signing a waiver for all amenities, not just the range. Could you maybe reach out to,
Insurance.
our
Yeah,
insurance
for umbrella policy kind of
to see whether or
questions.
not we have
Yeah.
coverage that is automatically provided, or if there's language in our current policy that would govern the need not to do that?
You might want to ask them the question a little differently. And that is, do they prefer a waiver and release from the members?
Would it
I think the
reduce our
answer to
cost?
that is
Would it-
yes, in
well,
all
would it
cases.
reduce- Would it reduce our
cost
down?
if we had a waiver signed by members.
For all.
Well, there may, yeah.
So what are you gonna do with guests and family, other family members and, I mean,
It
seems
sounds,
to me-
we'll talk to Spangler too, but.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really what we need to do.
So what do you want me to look into again? I'm sorry. I missed that. I'll make sure. I'm
Just
clear.
maybe our insurance policy and if it covers what,
How protected are we as a club?
it's gotta cover.
For amenities or
For use. of
As it
amenities?
relates to
Use of any,
members and
any and all
amenities.
amenities, yeah.
Okay, and the members' use of amenities and our liability coverage.
Yeah.
Okay, and you and I can kind of structure that a little bit more before you reach out to them, okay? Okay, let's go to old business topics, technology update. I touched base with Annie yesterday, today, I can't remember, it's all running together. And the update is that they are currently in the process of vetting all of the references and recommendations. So there is no update other than that. Again, I think we're at the tail end of that whole process, if we're at that stage, and looking for a lot of good things to happen as far as that's concerned. New members, is that Tim or is that Mary Beth?
Mary Beth.
Okay.
So welcome new members, A&W Artisan LLC, that's Thomas Ashcroft and Stephanie Whitaker, lot 895A. Tim and Tammy Gordon, lots 296 and 297. Kenneth Curtis and Aaron Curtis, lots 1972, 1973, 1974. Elizabeth and Jason Schreck, lots 338 and 339.
Yeah.
Motion to accept the new members.
Motion made by Mary Beth to accept the new members. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Annie Kerrigan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Linda Lonzinger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cabot. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.